one.
All right, man. Welcome back to Agree to Disagree. And if you're new, welcome to Agree to Disagree. I'm my boy Jay Lloyd, Pops, Craig, and we got BG. All right, man. You already know how we do. We're gonna start it off with these players of the week. I'm glad to see this position getting a little love. We forget about our big men sometime, man. So in the Western Conference, we got Jokic, the Joker, playing really well. Got off to a slow start with Denver, but looks like they're trying to turn it on a little bit. And in the Eastern Conference, I'm not surprised. Joel Embiid, man, he's been playing like a monster over the last 4 or 5 games. Two really big games in Boston, man. So I'm glad to see he's healthy for the most part and producing and helping his team win. But let's start it off, man. Obviously 2020 was a tough year, man, from COVID and all the craziness going on and social justice and political. But at the beginning of the year last year, we lost a really big basketball hero, man, and that's Kobe Bryant. So that 1 year is creeping up. I can't believe it's been a year since it's happened. But I just want to ask you guys kind of what impact has he had, you know? And obviously he impacted while he was here, but I want to talk about you guys. What impact have you seen from around the league or even yourself since he's passed? So I'm gonna start with you, Jay.
Yeah, man. I think for me, obviously everybody can kind of talk about uh, the basketball part of it. Um, when I was in high school, he was just getting into the league, so I would imitate a lot of the things he would do. Man, I thought the way he played kind of transcended to how we play now. A lot of stuff off the bounce and his ability to be creative and play with so much confidence. But I would say bigger than that, man. Our organization was blessed enough to play him um, last year. I want to say towards the end of 2018, and it was just cool, man, to be able to enjoy that experience of having our organization play against his with his daughter, and just see how calm and how collected he was with his group and how organized his groups were, and just his ability to give all that knowledge back, but see it firsthand was something that I never forget. And then obviously, lastly too, even though I didn't know him personally, you just want to beat him. You want to impress him. I feel like that game we played, he's like, yo, we want to go out here, me and BG and John, and just give everything that we have to, hopefully he's impressed by how our team plays and how we execute and things like that, man. So I would just say, man, just the standard, man, the standard that he left when he played, the standard he left when he coached, uh, is something that I know personally I'll never forget, and just thankful for the small experiences that we did have.
Yeah. Go ahead, Pop.
For me, um, I've watched this kid grow up to be the icon, that he became. Um, when I was one of the ones when he shot up before air ball, I was ticked. I was ticked. I was hot because I'm a big time Laker fan. But to watch how he grew, and then you just saw him get, you really saw this dude get better year after year after year after year after year. And then it was all about, for him, it was this. And then how the media didn't really care for him. But then as time went on, they realized maybe we beat this kid up too much because they really saw how great he was. We always have role models. and everybody was always hating him. Oh, he's trying to be like Mike. What was wrong with that? Wasn't nothing wrong with trying to be like an MJ. Because a lot of times, cats came in the league, oh, he's the next MJ. He's the next MJ. And then when it came to Kobe, he's like, oh, he's just trying to be like Mike. Well, as far as I'm concerned, he was the closest thing to it. The closest thing to it. And then, the thing he went through, he can't win without Shaq. And he was always trying to prove himself. Then he won without Shaq. And the tragic of him dying, it impacted the world. I mean, man, when we go back into it, man, the world stopped. And that just shows you how big, this guy really was. And like you said, I was there when, when our organization played against him. And just to see that whole thing evolve, it was just so good. And it's still hard. I mean, we're going on a year, and it's still hard. It's still hard to sink in, but he was just such an unbelievable player. And you always wonder, like, Kobe wanted to be like MJ. Now you always wonder, because MJ, Kobe, who's gonna be really the next kid that want to be like them too? That's what you want on next. Like, who's gonna be that? Guys say it. Oh man, I got the inner Kobe, and you go, yeah, yeah.
Taking shots. All right.
He was different. He was different. But he was great, man. He was great.
Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, Paul brought up a good point about Kobe. He got more respect as years went on. And you can almost see when he retired, he just got so much respect like that, because I think people respected what he brought to the game. And I think when he was gone, they really realized how valuable he was to the game. And he was right. He got beat up. He didn't like it. I mean, he wasn't liked by a lot of players, but I think he finally got the respect when he retired. But like Stephen A. Smith said, Kobe Bryant has never ever cheated the game of basketball. Like, he always gave it what he had. Also, some of the things that he left behind, like the whole girl dad phenomenon. Kobe was all behind that. He didn't even want to coach his daughter. His daughter wanted him to coach him. Everybody thought Kobe wouldn't turn out to be a good coach, but he had a huge influence on the game that way. You still see guys talking about it. It's funny because I just saw something on the news when what they said he was up 2 or 3-0, and he goes, "Are you happy?" He said, "We ain't finished yet." You know what I mean? That was his mentality. And I think as Kobe grew up, I look back and realize that he learned how to personify himself to get into character, to be the player he needed to be. And I think when he retired, people finally understood that's what he did. And it's so hard for athletes to do that, but I think they understood that's what Kobe did. And one thing I'm reminded of what Rob Pelinka said at the funeral. We know when Kobe's on the helicopter trying to get an internship for the girl that was with him and the parent, and Rob Pelinka said that Kobe's the last thing he did on earth while he was alive was trying to help somebody else out. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that Kobe needs to be remembered by that. You know what I mean? He didn't want anybody around him that didn't have the mentality he had, or he would, and just like Mike, he wanted people that he could mold to have that killer instinct, or as much as he can get out of them. And I think that Kobe deserves the respect and the love, because, I mean, I can't think of another basketball player who had that type of imprint on the sport.
Well said, Craig. Go ahead, BG.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all brought it up. Like, he got so much hate for, basically wanting to be the best. But then, like Craig just brought up, when, once he passed there, or even after he retired, you got to see, there was a different side to him, right? You got to see the side of him, wanting to show people, like, I'm still that guy that's going to want to be the best, but I've always been willing to help. And then obviously you guys touched on it, Pops and Jared, about, we played against him, which probably go down as the best experience I've ever had coaching, and just being in that gym that, it felt different. I remember, I don't know if you remember, Jared, I told the girls before the game, I'm like, just enjoy this. Like, it's like, this probably won't ever happen again. Like, not, obviously you don't know what's going to happen, but, playing against Kobe. So, yeah, man, it's tough. But, what I remember the most growing up, main reason I play basketball and coach is because of him. But, just being a Hispanic playing basketball, it's he embraced that culture. And there's a lot of interviews that came out and said it, like, he embraced that Hispanic. He embraced, people loving him, even if they don't know who he was. So yeah, man, it's been tough. Like Pop said it too. It's ever since, he passed away, the whole world kind of went into shock. You would never believe that somebody who we all saw as being, that guy, that nothing could ever happen to, even when his Achilles tore, he came back and was still doing things, so. But yeah, man, I mean, real quick, my favorite memories, taking my mom and my brothers, we went to a game against the Hawks when he dunked over, I think it was Josh Smith. And my mom doesn't know anything about basketball. She only knows basketball because I played it, went to my games. And I'll never forget that day because, once he dunked on, we all jumped up. Like I said, and for somebody like my mom who's probably never ever seen basketball or, ever even watched it, just seeing that reaction out of her is just something Kobe did, I think, to millions of people. So, it was a sad day and it's still a sad time, but, you try to remember all the good stuff that he did and you try to see the impact he left on the league for sure with the younger guys.
Well said. Yeah, I'll make mine quick, man. Tough. Obviously, Cole's my favorite player. Cole was the reason I was a Laker fan. Cole was the reason I loved basketball. I liked basketball, but I think watching him play through injuries, with that tenacity, like he taught me how to love. You know what I mean? Like you can watch him play and watch another NBA player, and you can see the difference. I'm like, all right, man, that dude's just here. But Cole, it don't matter who they were playing, what their record was. Cole was out there like it was Game 7 in the playoffs, man. Yeah, it's tough, man. And like BG, I want to share 2 memories. It kind of goes into each other. So, first one, me and Craig were blessed enough to go to the NBA Finals against the Celtics, and it was the game where Ray Allen tore them up. I think he had like 20 in the first half, and I think he had like 6 or 7 threes in the first half. Lakers ended up losing by like 15, and we had backstage passes to like go back there and meet players and all that. I don't know if you remember this, but he was like, "Hey man, you try to go back there?" I was like, "Nah, man, they lost. I'm good." I already know how Cole feeling right now. I'm good. And the second story is I was able to get the same backstage passes again. It was Game 7 too, the NBA Finals, Celtics versus versus the Lakers. But I had a game that same day, so I didn't go. I chose to go to my game.
Got boom too.
Bryant, Bryant could test this. I was like, "Yeah, I had tickets, man, but we had a game." And they was like, "Man, what you talking about?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I had a game." I was like, "Man, what Cole do, man?" So, as much of a fan I was, I felt I had to go to my game, And that was the game we played against Shabazz too.
Shabazz, yes, I was about. But then I don't know. Muhammad. I don't know if you remember too. We were getting boomed by like 30, and our assistant coach had the game on at the end of the bench. And once we found out they won, we started screaming and jumping up and down. Everybody's like, "Bro, you guys are getting blown out by 20, 30." But we didn't care. Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, man. I obviously it's coming up on that year. So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts and kind of put out there so people can understand from our side what Cole did and what impact he had, man. So if you're watching, this is Agree to Disagree. I'm my boy Jay Lloyd, Pops, Craig, BG, RIP Cole, and I'm John. Until next time, we out.